So just a little while ago, there was an image put up of the old SR-71 and the new Dark Star, which is featured in the new Top Gun movie, Maverick. Only the SR-71 had this interesting sort of wedge nose cone and no forward-facing windows, just like the new Dark Star. And I wrote a little blurb on it about the evolution of these designs of aircraft and how they sort of cannibalize, these new designs cannibalize the old designs. And it's like this Frankenstein aircraft where you get the old parts of the old one, parts of the new one, and they're all sort of blended in, and it's this half aircraft. And they use this for testing, right? And they use it for testing this section only, and then they go back, they get all the data, and then they test another section and another section. In one of the old photos, you can see the old SR-71 with something in between the tail fins. It looks like a wedge, and from what I can see, based on the designs I've seen, it looks like an aerospike engine that they were testing. This is probably back in the 80s or something like that. But it was interesting that it had nothing to do with the aircraft itself. It was actually just, the aircraft was just being used as a platform to test that piece, because that's, one of the things that they had that could fly at that speed, to test the engine, which is a high-speed engine. And the reason why I'm saying all this is not to, confuse you about aeronautical engineering, but to give you an illustration of how manifesting the life of your dreams comes about. It's not like you realize, oh God, this is not what I want in my life, and actually this is what I want, and you write your list, and then you go into your meditation and your manifestation, and then you wake up and everything is different. What happens is, at least from my perspective, in a more realistic process, when we're talking about intangible things becoming tangible, is that you change and evolve little pieces of your life over and over again, and you refine them and reshape them until that piece is exactly how you want it to be, and then the next piece, and then the next piece, and then you might do this for years. I've been manifesting certain goals that have been going on for years, almost a decade now, and still not quite at the end result of taking all those pieces and redesigning them all into a new airframe, as the illustration goes, the metaphor goes. But learning so much about how to do all this, right? And learning so much about myself in the process, becoming more of my genuine self, which is really a stripping back of things that weren't me in the first place, and just sort of becoming more instinctual, becoming more intuitive in terms of using less effort to do more, going with my strengths, trying not to put obstacles in my way unnecessarily to get to where I want to be in my life. And the reason why I say this is because there's this misconception, and I think this is just to draw people in initially to get them interested in the skill, is that, you can just sort of snap your fingers, wave your magic wand, and pop, you're in the evolution of this new life. It's like jumping from the old SR-71 to the Dark Star. You can't just sit down with a pen and paper and draw out the Dark Star and then start making it, because when you actually apply it in real life, if it is a real life aircraft, if it's not just a fictitious idea, that when you're actually doing what it's meant to be doing, like taking it up to Mach 10, right, there are all these pressures and stresses and things that you have to make sure that it can do. And just like we saw in the movie Maverick, you know, in the beginning, although it was rushed for entertainment and the story of the movie, the reality of the situation would be that, you know, there'd be a month of testing at Mach 3, and then a month of testing at Mach 4, and a month of testing at Mach 5, and all the little tweaks and things that they learned and adjustments they needed to make the aircraft safe and to meet its goal would be adjusted in those time. You know, there'd be a lot of time in the hangar tweaking all the way up to, you know, Mach 9, and then finally Mach 10, and maybe possibly beyond. Now, interesting thing is that when they finally come up with the final product, in this case, in this illustration, it's the Dark Star that we see featured in the movie Maverick, is that, okay, you know, you've got this amazing whiz-bang superior aircraft and go faster than anything, and can do all these things that you couldn't do before, which changes the whole balance of power in the world, and you know, now you become the you become the director of your future. That not only do you have this amazing vehicle now which can take you to and enforce and support the future that you're designing, but you've learned so much more about what it takes to get something up to that level, and you probably have a good idea of how to take it further, even further in the future when the time is right, you know. And this is one of the things that was really profound when learning about manifesting your future or creating your day or the law of attraction, The Secret, you know, whatever term and school of thought you come from. For me, this is all based on the mystery schools of ancient times and legend and stories and, you know, the Hall of Mysteries, all that sort of stuff. Ancient civilizations and whatnot, breakaway civilizations and whatnot, is that more importantly on the end product is who you become in the process, okay? And another misconception is you become somebody else or a better version of you, you know, which is hard to sort of conceive of. But in my experience, whenever I've moved into a new version of myself, it feels even more normal. You know, although I'm a different person, I feel even more normal in my skin, more comfortable in my skin. I'm coming more from my instincts. I'm doing more of what feels natural, more following my intuition more, even closer. Being less tolerant of things that, you know, I've seen the patterns for before, that I know lead to potentials of timelines that I'm not interested in anymore. My values shift and change. And they're more in line with the truth of who I am and what I want, rather than what society says I should want and should be and should have. And, you know, I know that sometimes when you're in the process of change, you know, I was talking to a friend of mine just the other day, it can, when you wake up to, hey Marley, when you wake up to these moments of like, holy shit, this is, how did I get here? This is my life. And, you know, I want it to be different, for example, in whatever capacity, way, shape or form, degree. It can be quite painful, and the focus can be on just trying to relieve the pain of being where you are, right? And it's this, the friction and irritation of realizing the trajectory, the attitude, the altitude of where your life is present, and where your conscious awareness is, and where, you know, where it wants to be, and the misalignment of that can be quite painful. So all you're looking for is this relief. And I know what that feels like, and if you can get relief, then get it, sure. But the goal shouldn't be for relief, because you can find yourself jumping from pillar to post, you know, doing a little bit over here and a little bit over there, and not really getting anywhere long term. A better strategy I've found is to learn to accept the present moment, not to, you know, continue to tolerate it, but to go accept and go, okay, well, this is the truth of the present moment now, and it's time to start working from here to, you know, feel through the emotions I've compartmentalized and put away and not looked at, like that junk closet in the house with the bowling ball on the top shelf that's going to knock you on the head if you open it, sort of thing. Or the old garage that's just an absolute mess that you can't even walk into. You need to sort of get in those spaces and clear them out and organize them, because there are a lot of gems in there that you've probably forgotten about. Like if anyone's ever tidied up an old room, attic, garage, closet, there's always something in there that you go, oh gosh, I forgot all about this. I'm so glad I did this because I found that one piece at least. And clear the rest out if it's not important to your future. And now you've got all this new space to, you know, use in whatever capacity, or fill up again with new material and new energy and all that sort of stuff. And this, I found, is it seems like a slower process in the beginning. It feels like nothing's really happening for a while. But it puts you in such better position because you don't have any rubber bands linked to your back, pulling you back. And you can get out of this cycle, this roller coaster of rushing towards a goal, pushing all your energy into it, and then getting snapped back at a trigger, and tumbling back and hurting yourself on the way back potentially. You can just turn around and cut all these cords, get rid of all the anchors and the rubber bands holding you back. And instead of having to put all this effort in to go forward against the resistance, now you can just casually, you know, stroll forward step by step in your own time, in your own way. Because what I've found is that no matter what your goal is, who you're trying to be, what you're trying to manifest, people, person, time, place, event, whatever it is, when you finally have manifested it and it becomes your new normal, and say you've been in that new reality for weeks, months, a year, years, you're going to feel really calm about it. It's going to feel like no big deal, like that's how it's always been for you. And so if you can get in touch with that emotion first, then it's going to be a lot easier to navigate, because it's going to become really obvious what to keep out of those junk rooms in the mind and what to discard, you know, and you won't feel this angst about having to hold on to things just in case in the future you may or may not need them. There was something else I wanted to add to this that was important, which has just slipped my mind. We've just gone off into a little slip lane here. Hopefully we'll come back in without spending too much time. So that's right. The metaphor, the story that explains this better is that I remember doing walking meditations, and in the group there'd be hundreds of us doing this walking meditation, and one of the instructions were, you know, see how it is, hear what you hear, and feel what you feel of the future that you're wanting to create, that you want to move into. And when you get it locked in, start to walk into your future. Now, the first few times when I saw this, it was all about walking into your future, like from here to there. And I saw a lot of people were charging into the future and marching and, walking with purpose, you know, walking fast like a successful person would. And then after seeing this a few times, I realized that there was something off about it. It's like, how am I supposed to embody my future now if I'm always walking towards it and it's in front of me and I've always got to get to it? And so I took a step back and started to slow down even more and started to feel the feeling of having it done, not just done in that moment, but like it was done and it was in my past, like that was an old goal that I had achieved, even though I hadn't achieved it yet. And so I went further into my future beyond my goal, and I embodied the feelings of having it done a long time ago. And this feeling of, being real casual washed over me, and I started to stroll, right? And maybe not walk, and maybe look around and just chill out and let people pass me, because they were still trying to get to where they're trying to go, and in my energy I'd already been there, and so there was no rush. And one of the best examples of this, I was telling my friend who's going through this process right now, is in the movie Apocalypse, X-Men, where you see Apocalypse come out of the pyramid, and he's been, in this meditative state for 2,000 years, comes into the present, and his goal is to take back, ruling the world like he did in the ancient past, into the present. And of course he's the villain in this story, or maybe just the catalyst of a transition. But what had happened there is you see him like very slowly, casually walking around, almost in a timeless fashion, like he had all the time in the world. And I guess you can do that if you come from a perspective of being immortal, or at least part of you, the awareness that is not your body being immortal, that you can take as much time as you need to get your goals achieved. And this is kind of a conundrum, because when you're in that state, it's like you don't care how long it takes, you're going to go towards it, and whatever challenges come up, you're going to figure it out and move beyond, and it's all going to be part of your learning experience. But it also matches what your state would be after it's all said and done. You'd be very casual on the other side of the coin too. And this creates a powerful attractor to the you in the future that you're trying to merge with, right? There is no trying, you just become it in the moment present now, and your body responds in that way and starts broadcasting into the field from that perspective. And I think this is a real key. And if and this isn't like, if you're finding that your manifestations aren't happening when you think they should, maybe this will help you do it faster. It's like, no, don't worry about the speed and time of things. When it's ready, it will manifest. And you don't want to rush things, because just like in the aircraft traveling at hypersonic speed, you don't want to get up there at Mach 10 and find out you have a problem, because then it's catastrophic, right? You want to discover all these errors as you're working up to your goal. So when you get there, there are no problems. It's reliable, it's dependable, it's solid. You don't have any snapping back. You don't have any triggers dragging you into another timeline that's misaligned from the energy that you want to be in, because of you've still got a little debris here, or a trigger there, or a bit of trauma that's left unchecked, or a skeleton in the closet, or a junk room in the house. You want to have that all squared away and sorted, you know, when you finally get there. So there's nothing to hold you up. There's no snags, there's no anchors, there's no hooks into you anymore. You're completely and utterly free to be in that present, future, new you, more of you, authentic you. And you can be there as long as you like. It's like, you know, going on holiday. You know, you don't have to come back if you don't want to. You can just stay there for as long as you like until you decide otherwise. So, hope that helps. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your attention. I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.